Tubers, Tibets, and of course crazy people. Well, yesterday I turned 70, and that will put you back on your heels when you say it out loud. My question in this video is this: now that I'm that old, have I already given everything that I can give to society? Have I already used up the best years of my life? Am I somebody that should possibly just be put into a home somewhere in the corner looking out the window where people might come and visit me on holidays or on Sunday? Or do I still have something to offer? Do I still have something to contribute? That's what I want to explore in this video coming up. Alrighty, kids. Well, just like I said in the introduction, actually yesterday was my 70th birthday.
Yes.
And so, as is our ritual these days with my wife, for the last 3 years, we've just checked into a hotel here in town, and we've turned off our phones, turned off the computer, and we simply enjoyed one another's company for 24 hours.
And then I give for a special gift.
Yes, you do.
Very special.
Well, we'll keep that between ourselves. But I feel very blessed. Anyway, the meat of the matter here, what I really wanted to talk about is 70. A lot of people will perceive that as, wow, 70. It's hard for me to actually say it. I'm 70 years old. I sure as hell don't feel 70. I still think like I'm 20 years old.
Time is so fast.
Time just flies, man.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of proud of myself that I'm still around. Because a lot of people that unfortunately younger than me have already passed on.
Yes.
And so you kind of have to count those blessings. But what the point I wanted to make was, there's always this priority shift, it seems, every 10 years in a person's life, men and women. But I'm going to stick just to men because that's what I am. So, we have regrets. We have mistakes that we've made that we cannot go back and undo. And I think that it's very important. And I've talked to many, many other men about this. And many, many older women also have come across my path. And I've always tried, when I get a chance, to ask them the same question. What do you think now? We'll just say that they're 65 to 70. What do you think now? What's changed in your thought processes opposed to 20 or 30 years ago? And I don't think any one of them has ever deviated, and it goes concurrent with what I think. One thing that they would change, or I would change, is putting such an emphasis on what other people think. It just doesn't matter. I'll never forget, I was talking to a gentleman by the name of Stan. I was about 40 years old, and I was in his office, and I was whining about somebody gossiping about me or saying something negative about my wife at the time or whatever. And he patiently listened to me. And then at the end, he didn't try to solve my problem or give me an exit strategy. He said, you know what, Paul? You shouldn't worry about what other people think of you, because they seldom do. And that hit me like a freight train. I said, now that's some wisdom this man is doling my way. And I've always leaned on that, because most people are concerned about themselves and what everybody else is thinking about them. They're not really thinking about you nearly as much as you think they might be. And you're not there, and I think younger people, myself included, you can go into your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s even, and you're spending all this time trying to acquire things and have these material objects that you think prop you up in some way, shape, or form. And they're outdated now. They're gone. You didn't need them. You wanted them for the wrong reasons. You felt you needed to keep up with the Joneses. You were trying to impress people that weren't impressed. In fact, some of them may have resented you simply because you did better than them. And so less and less emphasis on, and now at this point of my life, I don't give a rip what anybody thinks about me. And if they do, if it's negative, no problem. Bounces off of me like water off a duck's ass. I'm trying my best to share that with my wife, which is tough to do because in the Philippines, public perception, what people think, what people say, they call it chismis,
Yeah.
is a big, big deal out here. So I'm not, hammering it into her. I'm trying to just set it by example. And I try to explain to her. And you're slowly but surely, you're getting older too.
Yeah.
And so you're starting to say, you know what, you're right. Every now and then she says, you're right. And says, you're right. It really, those people, I said, remember, I can point out, I'd say, remember that girl that you were so upset about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And you lost sleep over? I go, where is she now?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're like, yeah.
Just karma.
Where is she?
Yeah.
She's way down there, and here I am just buzzing along, same as I was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you can't for the life of you figure out why you let that upset you. But I can relate to it, because you sometimes people will affect you in a way that they live in your head for a while, and they're winning the fight. So just be content with what you have. I have my health. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
I have a significant other, my wife, who I'm so grateful for.
Thank you.
We have mutual respect and admiration and all that for one another. I enjoy being, I guess for lack of a better word, the man of the house or the leader of the house.
Yes.
And you enjoy not having to take on those responsibilities. I've always thought women had the better end of the deal if they had that attitude, because when the tough decisions come through, you can be that strong, independent woman. That's okay. She's got some of that in her. She's strong. She's independent in her own way. But those big, hardcore, heavy decisions, do we put the dog to sleep? Or do we make that purchase? Or do we sell that off? Or what happens if we do this, if we move or change, any big, big thing? That will sap the strength out of you if it's ultimately up to you. Because if it goes sideways, guess who's to blame? The decision maker. And her favorite phrase, since the day I've met her to now, has always been up to you.
Yeah.
Up to you.
Because man is very more than the strong compared in the woman. Yes.
And you embrace that femininity. You like to look like a girl. You like to act pretty. You like to focus on that.
Yeah.
You like to do the cooking.
Yes,
you like to do that. You just like it. You just like it.
Yes.
And it just comes natural to you.
Yeah.
It's not something that you moan about or complain about or anything else. It's just, just in your nature.
Yeah.
And for me, that's just such a relief that I don't have to wake up every day and compete with somebody who's, the real strong, independent woman. Getting back to the older age, I feel that 8 years ago, practically, when I made the leap of faith over here, I was coming over here with the least amount of money that I ever earned in a month, ever. I'll let that sink in for a minute. It was my Social Security check. And I made that leap because there's another saying that I am absolutely in love with. And I've said it a number of times. I'm going to go ahead and say it again. And that is, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. And that is due to, in my humble opinion, responsibilities and commitments. When you're in your 20s, you're kind of free. You're kind of on your own. That's probably some of the best years of your life. You're still maybe living at home. You're just going to school. You're hanging out with your friends. You don't have all these obligations. You move into your 30s, now the career is kicked in, maybe you've gotten married, now you've got the responsibilities of the family, or the car payment, or the mortgage, and a wife, and some other mouths to feed, and that lays on you. And so every day that you wake up, you're showing up, or in my case, I showed up at this shit job that I just didn't want to go and do. I did that for 30 years. Talk about quiet desperation. I did it because I had to pay the bills. I had to make sure everybody had insurance. We had to, just the day-to-day existence of life. And when all that was over and done with, after I had fought for all these things that were bright and shiny, and I thought impressed people, and I thought I had to have, guess what? All those things that were bright and shiny and new, and I impressed me, and I was hoping would impress others, were all worn out or outdated, were no longer working. And so at the end of it all, I had a backpack, $8,000 in the bank, $6,000 in my pocket, and a one-way ticket to the Philippines. I have a friend, Philip, in Las Vegas, who I met 3 years ago when I made a return trip. And he watches my channel, so shout out to Philip if you're watching, buddy. And he goes, you know what, Paul? He worked in Vegas forever. He was lead on one of the big shows in Vegas. And he came out specifically to meet me when I came into town. And he says, I'm happily married man. I have absolutely no desire to go to the Philippines or anywhere else. He says, I just watch you because I can't believe you had the balls at 62 just to drop your life and go halfway around the world to see if you could kickstart a new life. And you know what? That's exactly what I did. Because when it came to retirement time in America, my options were very, very poor. I had to really continue working. My only choice, economically, single, alone now. Kids are grown, wife is gone, she's off with another guy, that's fine, good for her, God bless you, I hope you're happy for the rest of your life. But it was just me, myself, and I. I didn't have a big circle of influence. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had some co-workers, but most people were married, or most people were, not my kind of person. And I would have still have to have shown up and shown up and shown up. I have a friend that refused to retire until he's 70. And guess what? Now that he's 70, my age, for the last 8 years, I've been over here, and I've actually become physically much more viable, I guess is the word. I feel healthier. My thinking is clear. My days are filled with what I want them to do. Is everything perfect? No. Is it paradise? No. But we go back to my friend, and now guess what? About 2 or 3 fairly serious physical ailments have now afflicted him, and he's going to have to stay at home and pretty much focus on that. And I wish him a speedy recovery, but it sounds like what he's got is going to be fairly long term, and he may never have. And he's thought about coming out here. We've talked. We know each other very well. I don't think that's going to happen now. And he could have pulled the trigger the same as me. Didn't. Not shaming him, not blaming him, just saying that, time is so limited. It seems like yesterday I woke up and I was getting on a plane to come over here, leading that life of quiet desperation in my rearview mirror. And I had so much fun when I arrived here, experiencing things, getting confused, making mistakes, just the whole enchilada. And I gave myself back then 6 months. And I said, you know what? If I can't make it, cool. At least I tried. And I guess that's my message. is there are things that you can try. If you're finding yourself in a space where you're living with regret, well, guess what? We all have regrets, my friends. If you're living in a place where you have guilt or shame or sorrow over things that you did or said, those misdeeds have all been made by others, myself included, and there's no going back and repairing them. What's done is done. You need to just psychologically, mentally let it go. Understand that it happened, that you regret it. If possible, apologize or make amends with those that you may have damaged, and hopefully they'll forgive you and you can move on. And moving on, I think, is so important. The last thing that I think a person that is still physically viable to get up and get about and do their thing is to become stagnant. What happens to stagnant water? It just grows moss. It gets dark. It gets dirty. If you keep yourself in motion, keep pushing yourself. That's the key. For me, I try to push myself every day through a new barrier and conquer that I felt was unconquerable. And realizing what is conquerable, and not even trying. Gain that wisdom, which comes with time. Now, I'm pretty sure had I stayed in America, I would not be making this video, for one thing, because I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel. And number two, I wouldn't be sitting next to my wife.
Yeah.
I would never have had the opportunity to meet her, and nor her me.
Yeah.
And so that is the message, I guess, is as I grow older, stuff that's shiny and new and bright is just stuff. And it tends to weigh you down. Today, I'm proud to tell you, even though we've bought this and we've bought that and we own this and we own that, none of it is something that tomorrow we couldn't walk away from. I made that a rule when I came over here, that I was going to save more than I spent, or save something every month. And I've acquired that, or I've accomplished that rather. No brag, just fact. She'll tell you, I'm really good at squirreling away extra money,
Yeah.
or what's known as extra
I'm very
money.
proud with you.
If there is such a thing as extra money. But that $8,000 in the bank and that $6,000 in my pocket has not necessarily exploded, but it's expanded, and it improves every year. And for that, it's because she and we're not cheap. We're, like I said, we splurged on a hotel room,
Yeah.
for my birthday.
Yeah.
But we're frugal, and we are careful with our money.
Yes.
Now, we spent a bunch of money on that land that we purchased. That's okay.
Yeah.
We got tossed around by a scammer and lost some money there. And you know what? That's okay.
Yes.
We've purchased 2 years ago an automobile. We've got some motorbikes that we bought years ago.
Yeah.
And they're still running and they're still going. And I guarantee you this, land, car, motorbikes, her and I are in a
Yeah.
position where she could put her stuff in
And then
one
the dog.
backpack, and the dogs.
Yeah.
We can't forget the dogs. But we literally could put your laptop, some clothes in
Yeah.
a bag,
Yeah.
one piece of luggage, just like I did when I was 62. I could put my stuff in a backpack and one piece of luggage. You hold one dog, I hold the other
Yes.
dog. And we could bail out and start all over again somewhere else. And believe it or not, we'd be in much better shape than I was, at least financially, 8 years ago
Yeah.
when I came over here. Because I was 62
Yeah.
and now I'm 70.
Yeah.
So that's 8 years gone by. Again, it's not brag, it's just fact that when I minimalized I quit putting emphasis on trying to show off or have the biggest and the brightest and the shiniest. I've let go of what other people think of me because they seldom do. And the greatest thing of all is I no longer lead a life of quiet desperation. I wake up every morning, and not every morning is sunshine, rainbows, and puppy dog tails. There's days where I'm physically not capable of even getting out of bed. I'm sick. I have a fever.
Yeah.
And the same with my wife. There's times when you have a fever.
Yeah.
And what do we do when the other one has a fever? What do I do?
You stay
when
with me and you cancel your appointment.
I cancel my appointments when she's sick, and
Yeah.
I stay with her. Because
Yes.
remember, family.
Yes.
You need to keep that close,
Yeah.
or I do.
Yes.
I don't want to preach to you. I just want to share with you. I keep those that I love and adore and are important to me, and everybody else can wait because I'm not here to impress them. And you know what? If I have to cancel an appointment or tell the person that I can't make it and they don't understand or that ruffles their feathers, well, good, because now I found out the kind of stuff they're made out of. If I call a guy up or a gal up and I say, listen, my wife's sick and I need to stay home with her, I don't think I've ever had anybody say, well, we're done. You know, I don't think that's ever happened. But there have been a few people that have been put off because we couldn't show up. And it's like, fine, you know, that you go your way and we'll go ours. And conversely, if I tell my wife, I go, look, I don't feel like hanging out today or going there or doing that. I know I promised you I would take you to whatever we had planned. Her answer is always, okay, no problem. I'll just stay with you. Because tomorrow's going to come.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right?
Yes.
What's there today will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everything can wait. One of the beautiful things about retirement, in my mind, is that if you don't want to do anything at all, you can. And we're usually fairly busy people. But there are those times like last night. We shut off our phones. We didn't turn on a computer. We locked the door to our hotel room. And we just did what married people do.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's it. You got anything left?
Happy birthday, Daddy Paul. I
Thank
love
you,
you
baby
so
May.
much.
I love you
I
too.
wish with you more birthday to come. I love you so much. And with the dog, Tada Aditi.
Yeah, I'm slowly being, you know, my pecking order is getting in danger here. You know, I'm not sure who's number one anymore, if it's me or the dogs.
Of course, you're number one.
Okay, well, I
Yes.
feel much better
You're
now.
my priority.
Okay, honey. And so I just hope you guys are doing well, whatever your position is. And if you're having a tough time, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling shame, those are normal feelings. But realize that tomorrow will bring a new day. And it'll bring its own set of problems and victories. So if possible, if you can just shed those negative emotions or feelings. I know there's things that are sometimes beyond your control, but give some thought to how do you want to go out? Do you want to just, I know guys, I'll ramble for another minute here. I know guys that are unfortunately still living 30 years ago, because the older they get, the greater they were. And they still caught that touchdown pass, or they had the big important job. And if you talk to them long enough, that's what they do. They revert right back to 30 or 40 years ago when they were the hero. And that tells me that they've already had their moment in the sun, and that's gone. And I feel like right now, myself and many others, having made the decision to live modestly. You don't necessarily have to relocate like I did, but there's some wisdom there, I believe, that I would rather finish strong. I could die tomorrow, and I would be totally satisfied with the way that the last 8 years of my life have been. I look forward to however many I have left, and I hope that whatever we talked about today maybe rings true for you also. Again, I'm with you if you have those feelings of shame, regret, remorse. Look at them, understand them for what they are, and know that you should not let them live inside your head. Whatever is done is done. Tomorrow will bring its new challenges, its new victories, and trust me, there'll be plenty of defeats in the future that you're going to need to deal with also. So that's what I've got to say here on my 70th birthday. If you've hung with us this long, I appreciate you all very much, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yes, happy birthday, Daddy Paul. More
All right.
birthday to come.
See you later, guys.